self-awareness, but what are some tips and tricks, or not tricks, there ain't no trick to it. What are some tips that have helped you with your self-awareness? For example, for me, I know that my therapist is really important, a really important relationship that me and her have to help me unpack any beliefs I have, to help me understand, why do you think that? Where did that come from? Is it serving you? Is it time to release it? But having a third party who I can kind of talk through these things and help me realize, ooh, what are rules that I've created that now I'm living with and taking them as fact when they actually aren't fact. And so that has been a very important piece of my process of trying to get self-awareness.
Yes. It's a great question. So I'm a Scorpio, so we kind of thrive in transformation. And so I've always kind of thought outside the box. I've always kind of grew up in an environment where I didn't really feel like I fit in anywhere. I always kind of felt like the weirdo in my family, at school, wherever, my neighborhood. And so I never really felt like I fit in anyway. And so and there have been moments, points in my life, I think as an adult, after my divorce, I really stopped and said, and it doesn't have to always be after something that, huge or traumatic. But for me, at that point, I said, okay, you have a clean slate now, and you can really do whatever you want with your life. And what does that look like? And how did you get here? Right. I had to be really honest about how I got to where I was, getting a marriage that I didn't think would ever ended. Right. And so I had to come to peace with that, with, how I contributed to that, how that person contributed to it. And so then I started to really think about, like, okay, so, what along the way of your path led you kind of astray? And what I concluded was that, even though I've kind of always been an oddball, and there's certain, in terms of things that I'm interested in, but not necessarily my path, I still kind of had it grilled into me. You're going to go to college, you're going to possibly go to grad school, you're going to work some, horrible corporate job that you're going to hate, but it's going to be good for you. You're going to, marry a man, you're going to have a child, you're going to have the station wagon and the brownstone. And I did all of that, and I was miserable.
Yep. So oh my gosh, you're telling my exact story.
So how did that happen? You know what I mean? Where did I go astray? And there are all these expectations from family, from society. You go to certain schools, people expect you to have a certain path. Yep. And then when you particularly when I got to corporate beauty and experienced so much like bullying from white women, I was like, well, this is not it. Like I can't do this. So now what? Because I thought I chose like the perfect career, and it's not working. I thought I chose a really great guy, and it's not working. You know what I mean? And so I really had to kind of, say, okay, what is it that you really, really, really want?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Forget about, if you didn't have to answer for it, you didn't have to answer any questions.
You have to justify it.
Yeah, you don't have to justify it to anyone. What would you really be doing right now? And I really had to conclude, like, today in the year of our Lord 2024, what all I really want to do for real is take care of my son, make beautiful, cool things, support women and people of color and people with disabilities, all the marginalized communities that I love, queer people. Travel, eat great food, and have a lot of sex. That's literally all I want to do.
Yeah.
And so how do I make that happen? Now, notice I didn't say anything about making money, which I definitely want to do. But it's not, I feel like people kind of, they want their life to look a certain way to others. Yes. They focus on, well, let me just like work this job that I hate, but then I'm going to get the house and the car and the labels and the watch, and I'm going to be seen in all these places, but they're not happy. I know so many people who on the outside should be ecstatic, and they're not.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Okay.